Welcome to barkandjack, I'm Adrian and today we are in London. We're off to go spend a bit of time with Jaeger LeCoultre and we're going to check out their new limited edition Polaris. If you want to support the channel, just hit the subscribe button down the bottom there and the little bell icon so you get notifications. If you like watch straps as well, jump over to barkandjack.shop and check out our leather straps and native straps that we have over there. When we think about Jaeger LeCoultre watches, they're usually dressier watches or dressier designs. And if you think about their master collection and their reverso, and I know the reverso was traditionally a sports watch, but now it's very much a dress watch. So along with the reverso being part of Jaeger LeCoultre's sports heritage, they also have this sports line called the Polaris. I first took real notice of the Polaris range when I was watch shopping a couple of months ago for a new watch, and I tried on their black dial Polaris, the time only thing, and that is incredible. It just felt and looked absolutely great, and it was a real strong contender to be my next watch. There are quite a few Polaris variants now. We have time only, we have date, we have chronograph, then of course the alarm. And they all stem back to the original Memovox Polaris, which was launched in the late 60s. And it was all around the alarm function that it had, the Memovox, which is vocal memory. The idea of it was to remind divers when it was time to resurface. Jaeger LeCoultre's latest addition to the Polaris range is this limited edition Polaris Date. This watch is limited to 800 pieces, and although it lacks the alarm function, the Memovox function, which is actually a good thing because it makes the case very, very thick, it has this incredible blue dial, which is hand lacquered and has 3 finishes in it. In the middle, we have this incredible burst. It's also got 2 gradients. We have the gradient in the center section with this burst of blue. We then have this grainy gradient of blue in the outer ring, which just, the dial, I don't know what it is about blue dial. Blue's a cold color, but on watches it just seems to work, and certainly with this it looks absolutely incredible. The markers and hands, the Lume, I guess technically it is faux patina, but I quite like it. I really like it, so I don't want to call it faux patina because I kind of feel like faux patina is a negative thing. I feel it works. So the Lume on the markers and the hands, it has a creamy tone to it. I don't feel it is faux patina, but it obviously is. It's all tastefully done. That's what I'm trying to say. They've not over-egged the vintageness about this, and I don't feel the creamy Lume is too much of an obvious hint of vintage-inspired faux patina, if any of that makes sense. I like the dial. That's what I'm trying to say. This watch has an internal rotating bezel, and that's what the 2 crowns is all about. The top crown is to change the bezel setting, and then the bottom crown, the 4 o'clock crown, is to change the time and date. If you follow the channel, you would have seen my previous video was around the Tudor P01, which has a crown at 4 o'clock. And I said I didn't like it. I said it didn't work. For some reason with this, I think the offset crowns do work. It's probably just something simple like the symmetry of it allows the offset crowns to work. And I guess the P01 is just a funny looking watch as a whole thing. I think the crowns of this, although they are quite obviously different to the norm, there's something about it that works. It looks all right. When you look at the back, you'll notice that it says limited edition 1 of 800. This is the second brand now that I've seen that uses phrasing 1 of rather than a number saying, I don't know, 438 of 800. And it's probably just to stop people worrying about the number that they get rather than people saying, I don't want number 4 or number 9 is unlucky for me, or I don't want number 666. It also looks far cooler than just a random number. I have a limited edition Grand Seiko, which is number 695 of 800. Nobody wants number 695. It's a pointless number, and so it would be far cooler for it just to say 1 of however many there are. Putting it this way, by having the word 1 of whatever, it kind of stops the child mentality of us coming and saying, I don't want that one, I want this one. You know what I mean. This case is 42mm wide and it's 13.1mm deep. It has a water resistance of 200 meters, 20 bar. Which is really quite fair. It's unlikely anyone's actually going to go diving with this thing, but if someone's calling something a sports watch, it needs to live up to that name, and this does. Usually 42mm watches look too large on me, and I actually think this one works. It could simply be because when you usually have a 42mm watch, you then have the crown on top of that, whereas with this watch you obviously have the crown separated at 2 and 4, so you don't have that feeling of the watch being larger than what it actually is. I understand the use of the rubber strap. Rubber's very, very big. It's very, very popular at the moment. And it's also a dive watch, so it makes sense having a rubber strap. I actually think this would look incredible on a nice tan or a battered tan strap. I think this would look awesome on that with the steel case, the blue dial, the creamy lume, all of that on a nice tan strap, and that would be brilliant. The movement is an automatic movement, and of course it's an in-house movement. That's what Jaeger LeCoultre is all about. It has a 38-hour power reserve, which is really quite weak. I appreciate that these watches and movements are going to be finished to a far, far higher standard than something like a Rolex or something like a Tudor, both of which companies have 70-hour power reserve watches. But from an end user point of view, I'd want this type of watch to be an everyday watch. And therefore I'd prefer to sacrifice, especially as I can't see the movement on this, I'd prefer to sacrifice the level of finishing for a longer power reserve, at least over 2 days. These are going for £7,400 or $8,250. The kind of entry level Polaris is around £5,500, probably around $6,000. There's something in me that feels like a watch from Jaeger LeCoultre is worth more the money than a watch from Rolex, for example. I feel there's obviously a huge amount of money that's going towards a branding of Rolex and not so much with Jaeger LeCoultre. It's hard to prove that, because if you look at the resale value of these pieces, there's no argument. I mean, nothing compares to Rolex when it comes to resale value, but there's something about the build quality and the kind of the art that goes into building these sorts of watches. I'm going to get a better insight into this stuff. I'm going to visit their factory, the Jaeger LeCoultre factory, early December. I'm going to be able to learn what goes into making their watches, and get a better understanding why they are so good. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and drop a comment down below and let me know what you think about the Polaris range, and particularly this limited edition blue dial Polaris Date. If you like this stuff, do hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you know when I've been to the Jaeger LeCoultre factory. You'll get a notification to tell you that video's up. It'll probably be mid-December that video goes up. If you want to read articles and watch previous videos, jump over to barkandjack.com and check those out. If you want to check out our straps, we've got native straps and leather straps over at barkandjack.shop. And I'm joining forces with 2 other content creators. We've got 10 and 2 over in America in Tennessee, and we have Scottish Watches up here in Scotland. Brilliant podcasts around watches, and we're joining forces and we're creating this. I'm going to have to explain it another time, but just go follow us on Instagram at WeAreHautics, and give me a follow on Instagram as well at barkandjack. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.